I'm Dale Smith for Looney Politics, and with question period back this week, we can expect a bunch of questions on the so-called truck tax. It's not actually a real thing, but it's something that you can bet that the Conservatives are going to ask plenty of questions about in order to get clips for their social media channels. Now, the genesis of this supposed tax was in the Net Zero Advisory Body report, which is something that an arm's length group that the government commissioned to come up with ways to find a path to net zero by 2050. And one of the recommendations was a larger excise tax on fuel inefficient vehicles. And pickup trucks can be included in that. Now, the government didn't adopt this recommendation. Nevertheless, a group that is friendly to the Conservatives read through the report, found this recommendation, wrote an op-ed in the Toronto Sun about it, and claimed that this was an actual plan the government was pursuing, which then Conservative premiers and leaders federally and provincially all kind of got around and got angry about on social media, particularly certain premiers who've made having a pickup truck part of their personality. Now, what is especially ironic about this is the fact that it really builds on something that Stephen Harper introduced in 2007, which was a particular excise tax on fuel inefficient vehicles. And this would have simply built on that further. No mention of that from these Conservatives, however. Now, why I think this is really interesting or important is because not only is it not true and demonstrably not true, but it's already being both sides by certain members of the pundit class who are like, well, how is this any different from when the Liberals or the NDP warn about Conservatives and plans about abortions or privatizing healthcare? But the difference there is that when it comes to abortion rights, there are bills on the order paper that Conservatives introduce every parliament, which would restrict access. And when it comes to privatizing healthcare in certain respects, this is a constant conversation, including by Conservatives who are running for the leadership currently. So I'm not sure that it's really an equivalent when you're having the Conservatives currently insisting that this is a tax that's coming. They did this in past two election cycles with supposed plans by the Liberals to introduce a tax on capital gains for primary residences, which they had no plans to do and will never do because it would be political suicide. Nevertheless, they ran the past two elections saying that this was the Liberal plan. So I have to wonder why, with all of the things the government is doing that you could legitimately criticize them for, they need to resort to fiction on whether it's the capital gains or with the so-called truck tax. For Looney Politics, I'm Dale Smith.